Well, howdy ho, y'all. Welcome in to our full moon workshop. We are in our full moon of Virgo. We have a total eclipse that happened today in the wee hours of the morning. It was a lunar eclipse. And Virgo is a feminine earth sign. It is the mutable earth sign that is ruled by Mercury and rules over the 6th house. So we have this feminine energy right now of Virgo as we see the divine feminine being opposed on earth right now, as we can see that the attitude of misogyny has been highlighted and revealed over the course of this month. This month is celebrating in women. It's like Women's Month, and International Women's Day was this month. And whilst there were demonstrations and marches all over the world in support of women's rights, there was also a barrage of information coming out of all kinds of new and interesting ways that the far right is trying to suppress and oppress women and subjugate us. And so, when we were talking all last year about how it's going to be the rise of the divine feminine that ultimately brings balance back to the world, I was very concerned. I was like, okay, so whenever there is a rise of a certain energy, it's because that energy is put under a lot of pressure and a lot of adversity. And so I kind of was a little bit in dread about what was coming, because I thought, okay, if this is women rising up, then what is it in response to? And so we are definitely seeing that in this moment, which is very interesting. So the energy, it's like everything is clashing right now, so hardcore. And eclipses bring about great sudden change, sometimes shocking change, and a lot of times they are the energy of cleansing and purging, right? Imagine the power of a shop vac, right? Just going through and cleaning up anything that is toxic, destructive. We're breaking down systems and structures that are not sustainable, that are not equitable, that don't serve the greater good. Virgo is a sign, not only, we kind of generalize and reduce Virgo to perfectionists, neat freaks, judgmental assholes, I'm better than you, kind of haughty characters. But really, they are precise, and they love things that are done well and good and rightly. And so I can't hate them for that. I actually really appreciate Virgos because they look at systems and they can see where things are faulty and where they're dysfunctional, right? And so they aim to perfect things. Now that can be overbearing, that can be a trait about them that kind of turns into a vice, because then they become perfectionistic. First with their self, they're overly harsh with their self, and because their inner critic is so harsh, it causes them to be a harsh critic of others as well. So we have to watch that. I always talk about this whenever we have a big lunation, the sign in which that lunation occurs. We can reveal that sign's strength, but only when we can refine and overcome that sign's weaknesses within ourselves. And then that reveals the strengths of the sign within us. So Virgo is a mutable energy, and so things are shifting and changing, right? The other side of Virgo is the virgin, right? The vessel, the pure vessel that was sent to be the vessel that delivered Christ consciousness into the world, that was prepared to receive and birth the Christ. So there is also this spotlight on who Jesus is and who he is not at this moment. And the pure vessel is the one that can birth forth the real Christ, the true Christ, the Christ consciousness. So I think that's all very interesting and poignant right now for sure. the fact that this Virgo full moon is happening in the season of Pisces gives us a particular combination of energies. What I keep starting to say is Virgo is also about being of service to others and being, like, for instance, a humanitarian, or finding ways to help and serve others. And so we have to think about the fact that the inner work that we're doing is not just for the self alone, but it's for the sake of sharing, meaning that we do this healing work not only so that we can have a more fulfilling and pleasant life with inner peace and joy and let go of our suffering, but also so that we don't bring more pain and suffering and evil into the world. We want to, in production, we used to have a rule: leave the place better than what you found it. And that's the rule that God gave us too. He wanted us to leave this world better than what we found it, right? We're supposed to be stewards of this garden. And so our purpose on earth is to come here as souls who have a little bag of tricks. It's our little bag of shit that we have. And this bag of shit, we are to turn it into gold. And this bag of shit is all of our problems and our waywardness and our negative thinking and our nastiness and our desires for all the wrong things. And these are basically our shortcomings and our mistakes that we come to earth with. And this bag of shit, this is the refuse that was left over when the waters were separated in the creation, right? When the elements were separated and the pure elements were used to create the earth and the world and the universe, but then there was this like leftover stuff, and it was this density and darkness and negativity. And so we know that the law of conservation of matter says that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed. And so the spiritual assignment for us is to repair and correct this energy. We can't obliterate it, we can't destroy it, but it is definitely our duty and our responsibility to transform these energies while we are here, starting on the inside. Where so many people have it wrong is they're out there looking and pointing at all the things outside of them going, you need to change and you need to change and you need to change. But it's really an inside job. And when we do this inside job collectively, things actually do start to change. People start making different choices, and they start thinking about not only how those choices affect them, but how those choices affect others and how it affects the planet and how it affects our world. When we see people who understand how their little life is not an island, that they affect other people, we call those people woke. But like Jane Fonda wisely pointed out recently, is that all woke means is that you give a damn about other people, right? So this Virgo energy is teaching us and showing us how our inner work and how our inner growth and change is being done so that we're prepared to be vessels to share and to help and to repair and to serve others and to serve the world, right? It's not just about us, it's about helping other people. And so we grow and we change and we heal ourselves so that we're not that shit bag, so that we're not that bag of shit spreading shit out into the world. Now, the interesting thing about this being Pisces season is that Pisces takes us through the depths of our soul, the depths of our subconscious motivators, buried emotions, buried belief systems that we're unaware of, our illusions, right? And it explores those, but it's also connected to our creativity and our imagination and our dreams. Pisces is deeply philosophical, deeply spiritual. Now, the thing about Pisces, though, is that Pisces is at the very end of the zodiac. So you can think of Pisces as a very old person. Now, what do we know about old people? They lose their desire to like go out and like take the bull by the horns and take the world by storm. They're like, I don't care. I've done my shit. I've seen shit. Who cares? Like, I'm just going to sit here and laugh at everybody in the corner. They don't have a desire, as strong of a desire. And so usually when people lose their desire, that's kind of when they start, their health starts to decline, because they don't have that lust for life and that desire to live and to give and to create anymore. They don't have a desire to receive for themselves, so they don't have as much ambition. So that can be a weakness of the sign of Pisces, is to have sort of less ambition to really get motivated to be successful or to put themselves out there, because they're a lot of times focused on giving to other people. They're such sharers. They give, but they don't have enough of a desire to receive. We need a little bit of healthy ego, because otherwise we have no real motivation to get our voice out there and be seen and use that for good, right? If I don't have enough desire or enough ambition, I'm not going to do the work that it takes to make these videos every day and put them out into the world. I want them to be successful for the sake of helping others, not to glorify me or to be famous. Fame is a horrible inconvenience, if you ask me. But it serves a purpose when it gives you a platform and an influence, and it gives people it puts the attention on you so that you can use that for the greater good. So we need desire. Desire is good. Now, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. Aries is the baby. What do babies want? They want to receive. Give me food, give me love, give me blanket, give me my teddy bear, whatever it is. Give me your watch. I want to put it in my mouth. I want to break your necklace. Like, babies want, and they take. So they have the greatest desire to receive. So that's why Aries are great manifestors. They have so much energy to get out there and go get it done, because they want to receive. So if our North Node is now in Virgo, that is steering us in the direction that our destiny is taking us in. That's the way we're going. But the South Node is like what we're cleaning up, what we're correcting, what we're leaving behind. So basically, the juxtaposition right now of Virgo being our North Node and Pisces being our South Node is like Pisces doing the inner work, being spiritual, right? Up until now, it's been pretty self-oriented. We've been doing the inner work and going through our soul and like, what have our life lessons been meaning? Like, how do I become stronger, right? It's like that which does not kill us makes us stronger. And then like, oh, you're just being prepared for something. Like, all these things have happened so that you're prepared. And you're like, what are we being prepared for? Well, basically the Armageddon that we're living in now, end of days. Here we are. We've been being prepared for this. So now the inner work that we've done, hopefully you've been doing it and you don't have to catch up now, because it's going to be a lot harder. The class is moving very quickly now. So the inner work that has prepared us to be not that shit bag so that we can go out and do the work that needs to be done in the world with the right perspective, with the right heart, with our hearts in the right place, with a pure soul. So the work is not about just us anymore, just about getting over our own grief and learning how to make our dreams come true and to find the right person. It's not just about that. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than us. The world needs us. The cosmic scales are teetering, and the dark side is very aggressive, very loud, and is very heavy. And so it is almost like right now we have to think that like our every action, our every choice, our every motivation is going to have an influence on those scales, right? And so we have to keep those scales shifting toward that light, to the side of good. So now we are doing the work, not only for ourselves, for the sake of receiving for the self alone, but we are doing the work for the sake of sharing, for the sake of channeling that light and sharing that light with other people. I mean, how important is it right now to have absolute impeccable integrity when it comes to faith and what you believe and the message of spirituality, the message of Christ, the message of Jesus. The message of Christ is being completely, it has been hijacked since the beginning, but it's being manipulated now and used for darkness more than I feel like it ever has, or at least our world is bigger. It's more populated now. So it's like that influence is louder when it comes to the scales, right? And so this is only going to reveal the real Christ to the world. But what I find most interesting about this is that it's the supposed non-believers, non-Christians, atheists, agnostics, and pagans that are fighting out there for the real message of Jesus. They're like, this Republican machine gun Jesus is BS, and it's a lie, and it's a manipulation, and it's false prophecy. And you've got people who are non-believers that are getting into the Bible, and they're pointing out, no, Jesus talked about loving people the same as you would love yourself, and being kind to the stranger, and making sure that social programs are providing for the underfed, the undereducated, the people that don't have medical care, right? So Jesus was inclusive, and he was not shutting people out. In fact, everybody told Jesus, don't go mingle with the Gentiles. Spread the message amongst your own people. Spread the message amongst the Jews. But Jesus said, you know what? I'm gonna share with the Gentiles. And it even kind of accidentally leaked out to the Gentiles, but the Gentiles were the first people who wholly believed in such strong faith that they were receiving the miracles. The miracles were coming true for them, and they were believing like without like little children. They were like, yeah, I'm convinced. Like I'm in. And so the Gentiles received his message before anybody else did. And so what I would like for the Christian nationalists and the Christian fundamentalists to understand is that they wouldn't be included in this plan had Jesus not gone out of his way and gone away from his own tight-knit group. They would have been left, and they would have been pagans. So the people who were like, we're the ones and you're not, like, no, you wouldn't have been had people not broken the rules and included you too. So they don't care about that. They don't want to be told anything real. They just want their own agenda to be reinforced and justified. So you can't reason with most of them, but there might be people on the fringes that are still open and confused and feel sort of bullied by the people around them. And so those are those people in the middle that are still salvageable. And so, you know, it sucks, but we have to be the patient ones, and we have to be impeccable with our behavior and with our truth and how we're using it. And that truth without love is violent. Truth without love becomes empty dogma, which becomes hard rules that end up excluding and oppressing people. It is only love that really makes the thing work. Right? And that was the difference between the Old Testament God and the new covenant that Jesus brought, that he said, you know what, I'm giving you a new commandment, and that is to love your neighbor. And that's the most important one to keep over all the other commandments. I want you to love one another. And we are not to understand this as to love our neighbor and understand our neighbor as the person in our family or the person at our church or the person in our own gated community. It is everyone that is not us. Okay? So love others as you would love yourself. Unfortunately, a lot of people in this world don't know how to love themselves. They don't understand what love is. And so, you know, we have to help people understand that too. So, let me slow down for a second and make sure that I'm not missing anything that I wanted to say about that. We do have Mercury retrograde starting, I believe, tomorrow in the sign of Aries. Now, Aries is one to pop off. I've been feeling it too this week. I've been stirring up some controversy here and there. And I've been, you know, telling it like it is and saying it, but you got to be careful. You got to be careful about what you're saying and where the motivation is coming from. And I am not always the one. I'm also a Libra, right? So I'm not one to want to stir up a controversy necessarily, and I'm not always the one that wants to confront. Confrontation has been something that has been a lifelong struggle for me to get comfortable with. As a Libra rising and as a Cancer moon, I'm very empathic, and I can feel everyone's feelings in the room. So when things get uncomfortable, it's like I get uncomfortable times 10 because I'm feeling everybody's feelings, right? So it's not always easy for me to do that. And I think that the way that we can start to sort of have little ways to see, like, is this me or is this my ego? Usually God is leading you to do the thing that is not easy to your nature. It's usually something that you're like, ooh, I have to overcome my fear to do this. I have to, like, oh, it's not necessarily the easiest thing for you to do. That's usually the thing that you're gonna need to do. If it's something that comes easy and you're like, yeah, I can't wait to tell them this, blah, 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 you probably need the thing that you're being asked to do is show some restraint and take some breaths and do some inner reflection before you necessarily go out and say something. So we have to really, check some criteria before we confront, right? What is our motive, really? Is this the right time to do this? Do we have God's permission to say this, or will this disrupt that person's process? Is this person capable of receiving this information, or are these empty words, or these words don't have a vessel to receive, so they end up as chaos, right? They cause chaos and disruption in a bad way. There's some disruption that's good, some that's not so good. So we have to really ask ourselves those things before we confront. And then if we feel a peace and we feel it's time, then we can kind of take this through a meditation and go through this this communication on a soul level and imagine the person, the counterpart, or the audience. Imagine this discussion happening in a soul-led way, soul to soul, with open hearts and pure intentions. Before it ever happens, you lay the groundwork that way. Let's see what else. So, like, big truths are going to be coming out, and there's going to be a lot of communication, people feeling emboldened to maybe say things that they've been holding back for a really long time. Part of this Pisces purge and the cleaning up, like, that Virgo does, is we're cleaning up all of this, like, this muck and dust and dirt left behind by old emotional baggage and old spiritual baggage that we haven't been able to let go of, right? So sometimes the air does need to be cleared. And so this is a time where, you've got to use your discernment, but you may feel that it is time to say something that you've been sitting on for a long time and you may have been avoiding, but it may be time to say it. May not be. So we'll see. There's cards in here that sometimes will tell us better left unsaid, or it's time to say something. And if I remember correctly, last full moon, we had both of those cards come up. So it's really coming down to your discernment. And I always, my aim is to help you guys develop your own intuition and not just rely on me or other readers or predictive tools. That we have to really strengthen our own connection to that voice of the Holy Spirit ourself, because there's so many voices coming at us from every angle. Everybody's got an agenda, and so it's really hard now, especially with AI in your ear and the algorithm in your face and every app that's telling you, like, how to live your life and what to do and where to go and what to say and how to breathe. Whoa, breathe into your Lumi. What are your vital signs? It's like they're only conditioning us to be so on edge and fearful of our health levels that we will one day take a chip that will keep us completely level and stable at all times, which dilutes our emotions, which dilutes our feelings, which dilutes our free thought. It's really just, they're grooming. It's grooming us in that direction, and we have to be very wise and watch out for it. Because how many people do you know that would say, oh, I wouldn't take a chip? But then, okay, so they're going to be like, well, this chip could make sure that your child, if they're going to come down with any kind of disease or sickness, that you'll know ahead of time and you'll be able to treat that before it's too late. And if anybody kidnaps your child, then you'll have a tracking device and all this stuff. And so they're going to use fear, and they're going to use the normalization of thinking that we have to keep track of our every step, every breath, every calorie, to start off training you to think so. I mean, look at the Apple Watch. Like, I'm like, why does everybody need these Apple Watches? Do we not have, like, our phones constantly in our face giving us these notifications? Like, are you not that available? Like, do you not have your phone in your pocket? Like, what's going on? Why do we need the Apple Watch? Why do we need the Lumi? Why do we need these ovulation apps when we can, there's an ovulation tracker in my day planner. You can do that without having your fertility on public record for somebody to check into, which I think that's pretty scary nowadays when you see how sinister people can be. So let's get into the reading. Oh, we also have Venus in retrograde still for a bit. So don't go out and get any big plastic surgery procedures right now. Don't do any filler or Botox or anything if you don't want to look like that. And be careful about cutting your bangs, all that shit right now. But also the fact that when Venus is in retrograde, it sort of gets us looking at our love and money. To categorize it simply, how do you, what is your flow of security in your life? What are your channels for money and security? What is your home life like? What is your love life like? What are your relationships like? Right? We start to reevaluate those and think about those deeper. What we value in love, what we value, how we value spending our money, and what we value having around us, what we find beautiful and inspiring in our life, what lights us up and makes us feel alive as human beings with 5 senses, what do we not value in love anymore that we're wasting our time? How do we not want to earn our money, right? We want to be lit up by the way that we earn money, and you can change your career if you want to. I did. I don't have a prestigious career like I used to have some impressive, this is a braggy career. I work in TV and film production. Like, people are like, ooh, that's cool. And now I'm a server at a restaurant, and I'm 10 times happier. I have so much fun. I like going to work every day. I like the people that I work with. I'm around food and art, good music, and I get to do what I like to do every day. I get to go out and have a run. I have a healthy schedule. I have healthy sleep. I can be consistent in my routines that keep my body and my hormones regulated. And I can make all this content for you guys. And so, that is what I truly value, is my liberty, is my freedom to have that time to devote my energy into this creative expression that brings forth my mysticism, my spiritual connection, and share that with you guys. So, what is that for you? I left a relationship, or that relationship left me, but I prayed for it to be over because I wasn't sure, But I have chosen to be single rather than pair myself up in just any old relationship, because I know that, first of all, I have learned to love myself deeper than ever. I've learned to be independent and not codependent. And I've learned that if somebody's not bringing goodness into my life, then they're not worth me sharing my precious time and energy with, because I could be devoting it to sharing with others and serving God. And so unless I have something that is really going to improve my life and be in alignment with that plan, then it's not worth it. Because let me tell you, you can be lonely and feel deeply alone and deeply unloved within a crowd of people, within a group of friends that aren't right for you, with the wrong relationship. And let me tell you, if you're trapped in the wrong relationship, it is worse than being by yourself. Honey, I don't have to sit here and watch somebody play video games. Nobody's farting next to me constantly. It's wonderful. I love it. Recently I was exposed to someone else's fart, and I was like, oh my God, I haven't had to smell another person's fart. I can't tell you when. So I was like, oh, this is grotesque. So it's not that bad, I gotta tell you. But when that right person comes along, so ready, love it, open to it, ready, prepared, right? All right, so let's begin our reading. Yes, and we're also going back and looking at what we've learned from those relationships, how they have shaped us, and what we believe about relationships, and if that's true or not, if we need to reconsider some things. Oh my God, speaking of Venus retrograde, I'm trying to go back and rewatch Sex and the City, and I've just stuck with it because I find that in every episode, I realize how much work I've done on myself and how much we've grown as a society. Because oh my God, every episode, I want to throw the TV out the window. I'm just like, oh my gosh, for someone who writes about relationships, Carrie Bradshaw has zero relationship skills at all. She has zero relational intelligence. Okay, let's see. Let's go. All right, what do we need to know? Who are we in the context of this moment? I am not ready to pull cards yet. We need to shuffle. Well, who are we in the context of this moment right now? Let's see. It's time to confront the situation. You cannot make this shit up. Time to confront the situation. Honest discussions, confronting the truth, open communication, stand up for yourself. Now, I will reference what I'm talking about yesterday. So yesterday I weighed in on what was a controversial story. I'm not going to go into the details. And I said something, and I said what I said, and I meant what I said, and I believe in all my heart that I'm right, and I know I'm right because I've seen the evidence of it in life. And so I knew that I would have backlash from most of the people who think a certain way, and I started to get a little bit worried. Like I had the devil's little voice right now because we're in Lent, right? So the devil comes and he tempts you and he tricks you and he tries to lie. I have the devil's voice going, oh, everybody's gonna turn against you just like they did with the lady in the video, and you're gonna get canceled. Like, you can't cancel me. I'm irrelevant. Like, what am I gonna, please put an end to my misery. Maybe I can start fresh and grow the channel more. But I was just like, this is so stupid. I'm not gonna look for the validation in the approval, and I'm not gonna look for the comments that disagree with me. I'm gonna leave it, and I'm gonna say what I said, and that's it. So I had the one initial first person accuse me of being, unkind. And my response to her was, I'm being very kind, but it may not seem nice. And I said, why? And it was a completely 100% valid point. And I just left it at that. And of course she's coming back with like her mindset and her weak defenses on the issue. And it's just like, pretty cookie cutter stuff. And I was just like, I'm not going to give my energy to this. The truth has been set there, and I'll leave it, and if people get it, they get it, and if they don't, they don't, but I'm not going to give any more energy to this. And so just having to be in Instagram just to like post my daily reels and things, I kept seeing these notifications, and it was like I kept thinking I was going to be under all this backlash, and what I was seeing was that it was like within 15 minutes, like 100 people had liked the comment, and people were clapping, and people were cheering, and they were like revering me, and I'm like, oh my God. And so like by this morning, there's like over 400 likes now on this comment, and they were like, please, someone needs to say this. Someone please say this. They were like, Liz, say it louder, preach. So again, I'm not like, those times are scary to me. I'm like, oh no, but again, but the danger is, don't get high on the validation. You don't want to get into roasting wars. You don't want to get into these things where like so-and-so owned this person. It's not about that. And the second it is, you've lost your influence. You've lost your witness in that moment. You've lost the anointing. So it has to be for the sake of good, for the sake of sharing, but it can't be for your own ego. So that's why I'm saying I don't want the validation of the clapping. I don't want the fear of the backlash. It's just like, leave it. I said what I said because I felt led to say it, and I leave it at that. Right? You can agree with me, you cannot, but you can't. Don't shoot the messenger. Okay, so confront the situation. What's crossing us now? What is crossing us in this moment? This is it. This is a dead end. This system that we live in, this mindset, this era, this age, there's no more that can come of it. No good. It is fruited what it's going to fruit. Dead end. And I think that this is not necessarily so much about, I mean, it might be, you might feel like there's a dead end in your life where you're just, there's nothing more to gain from that situation. But collectively, as a society, as a system of a patriarchal rule, and we're not talking about men versus women. When we talk about patriarchy, we talk about a system that's set up to have a few people in control that dominate everyone and take all the wealth and then suppress and oppress everyone else underneath them. It's a system of greed, of power, of lust, of destruction, of enslavement, versus a matriarchal system of more like communal and sustainable sharing, cooperation, unity. It's tribal. It's regenerative farming versus like just exhausting the land of the soil and GMOing everything and insecticiding everything. You know, it's cooperative. It's the ancient prehistoric times where women were leaders in their tribes, and people were cooperative and they honored the divine feminine alongside of the masculine. So when we talk about the divine feminine energy, we're talking about that mother bear, the protector, the nurturer, right? The person who educates and nurtures and advocates for and soothes and heals the tribe, not the person who wants to drop bombs and take and be imperialized, right? So that system is dead. No one, I mean, there are a few people that are buying into this, but they've been brainwashed. And hopefully very soon, the people on the fringes, hopefully the rural poor people figure it out, because they're going to be the ones suffering the most. And usually they've been the ones jumping on the bandwagon the most. So hopefully it gets through to them that the other side is actually trying to make sure that they can survive. All right. The underlying influence of the situation. This is our subconscious influence on the situation right now. Don't say anything yet. Ha! Prepare your energy first. Get your consciousness right. Do all of that inner work and the preparing. Pray, meditate. Do the visualization, search yourself for your motives before you say anything yet, because it may not be the right time. That person may not be open to hearing it yet, right? God gets people ready to hear things, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes if you try to cast seeds, it'll fall on hard soil, and the seeds will not sprout. They won't take root because they will be sitting on top of dry, hard land, just exposed to the sun. So I'm going to read this card. Don't say anything yet. The timing is not right. They won't be able to hear you yet. Their heart is not open. You may change your mind. You don't have all the information yet. Stop. Pause. Don't say anything yet. Saying something now could do more bad than good. For whatever reason, now is not the time. It's possible that you don't have all the information, or maybe it's not what you think. Or you might be going on, or more might be going on that you don't know about. Perhaps some vital element to the story has yet to occur and the pieces are not yet in place. It's possible that saying something could interfere with another person's own process and soul connection. Maybe in order to embrace this, truth, they must commit to their own. They must come to it on their own. What is said cannot be unsaid. These memories echo in our hearts for decades. Don't do or say anything that you will wish you could have taken back. Check your consciousness. Are you in a state of taker consciousness or giving? Builder consciousness or destroyer consciousness? Be honest. Also, even what we say is true, if the person's heart is closed, they won't be able to hear you anyway. Okay, so deep down, we haven't said anything yet because we know it's not the right time. But there might come a time, and so prepare for when that time comes. Get your truth right, get your heart right, get your consciousness right. All right, so the next card will represent something in the past that we have been dealing with, that's been working on us. It's something that we've learned, that we've been learning, that is now clearing up. That influence is not going to be such an influence over us anymore. This is an issue of self-love, right? So up until now, we've had to learn how to love ourselves, and the difficulties and challenges that we've been living in may have served us to teach us self-love. But now the implication here is that we have developed self-love and an understanding of what that is. And so the hardships that we have suffered that have brought us to that point are not necessary anymore. Love yourself first and others will follow. You can only love others as well as you are able to love yourself. You've been putting others first at the expense of your own authenticity. It's time to realign with your higher self and make choices that are true to you. All right. Let's go. Let's go. What's crowning us right now? You're going in circles. It does feel like that, doesn't it? It feels like we're just going in circles. I found myself pacing in circles the other day. It feels like I keep going round and round and round, and it feels like we're not going up. But eventually, like, you know, when you're hiking a mountain trail, it has to go around and up because it's too steep to take a direct path, right? That's too intense. So in order to be able to make our way up to the top, they carve out these circular paths that go around gradually, taking you up. So negative patterns, cycles, stuck in a loop, repeating the same mistake, time for a new story. So one part about this Pisces and Virgo purge, so Virgo is also connected to Mercury, right? It's ruled by Mercury. So we're thinking about, what is our consciousness? How are we thinking? Are our minds changing? Our ideas are changing. The way that we perceive life, our consciousness from the root level is shifting. So we're going to be breaking these patterns because we've been purging the old emotional issues. We've been doing the deep dive so that we can see, okay, I can see that I have these patterns. I can see what's been taking me in circles, right? During the Lenten fast, you might be tempted with the old patterns again and again and again, but you can see them more clearly now. And so now that we've shifted onto this huge new timeline, it's like every time we make a shift in our consciousness, it's like we shift to another script of our life. Whenever we overcome that darkness, it's like we get to shift to a different scripted destiny for ourselves. So we're trying to break out of the prison cycle that we've been in on these same loops. And so now it's like we're being able to see those in the light of day and confront them more clearly. And this eclipse season is going to help us break out of that vicious cycle. Okay, so that's enough said on that card. All right, so the influence and the energy that is just around the corner. What is just around the corner? I feel this card. Don't waste any more time. So it's time to get started. It's time for the work. The work is that we've been prepared to do the work, and now it's go time, right? This is call time. You're being called to set. Don't waste any more time. Don't hesitate and don't delay. No more procrastinating. The time is right. Just go for it. Catch the wave. Act now. We're getting out of that quiet winter season and we're moving into spring, and now it's like new energy is happening, new cycles are happening. So it's time to, get going again. Mars has gone direct and we're building that momentum. And so now it's like our actions and our efforts can actually start to build and to move and to bear fruit. So don't waste time. It is so tempting right now to feel the exhaustion of it all, to feel overwhelmed, to feel like the futility of like, what's the point? There's nothing left. There's nothing good to look forward to. No matter what I do, nothing gets me ahead. Like, it's like if I make a few more dollars, like they're taxed away, or I'll have to pay more in healthcare insurance. It's like we feel almost like, what's the point? I know I felt very discouraged recently. I felt like giving up. I felt like I can't break through the stagnancy of this channel, of growing the platform, of getting people to participate, of the message reaching anyone. I don't even know if anybody's actually watching these videos or if they just accidentally start the video because it's in their queue and then they click away. I ask my viewers, hey, can you let me know you're out there? Sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't. You know, I put so much heart and soul into the 2025 prediction series to give us help to navigate this fucked up year to come. And it's only $10. And one person has bought this thing, and my nephew, because he knew I was devastated that nobody has bought it. And I just felt like, wow, you know, I'm putting all my time into this and all my heart and all my soul, and I'm making sacrifices, and it doesn't seem to be doing anything or going anywhere. And every time I am like about to give up, something in the world says something literally that's like, don't give up. Don't give up. It's not time to give up yet. I was telling myself these very things today when I was just talking out loud to myself. And I was having a moment, and I was getting ready to go meet my mom for lunch. I was blow drying my hair, and I had my hair upside down, blow drying it. And I looked down at my shoes, and the way that my shoes are designed, there's like this writing around the edge, and it says, words matter, words matter, words matter. And it reminded me that I need to keep decreeing and speaking blessings over my life, and declaring all the gratitude that I have for my favor. That I am favored, and that I am blessed, and that I am provided for, and I'm protected, you know, and I'm gifted, and I'm talented, and I have so many wonderful gifts. And that if I didn't have gifts to give, and I wasn't a threat to the opponent, that I would have it easy. I would have it easy. I'd have an easy life with easy distractions, probably have a boyfriend, probably have like an easy job and make enough money. I'd be going on vacations, and I'd be going out to eat, and I'd probably be shopping and making comedy videos and just making art for art's sake, and which is not bad, but it's definitely not what I'm doing here. You know, and even you viewers that come back and you value this wisdom, you're the far and few between, because on this channel, it's not just about give me an instant gratification, give me a message that tells me I've got money coming, give me a message that tells me the person I'm obsessed with actually is secretly obsessed with me back. Where is my twin flame? Where is my riches? Where is my success? Even some of the Christian channels are just as bad, because they're spammy, and they're like, well, God told me that this and this, and you're going to have this, and you're going to have that. And it's like, this is all the same. It's the same fluff, just telling you the same thing over and over again. But it's not asking you to do anything. It's not asking you to change. And this channel is. We're focused on the work. We're focused on our own soul. We're focused on, you know, what kind of person that we are becoming, and how we're preparing our soul for something greater than just our own selfish gain. So my props to you and my gratitude to you, because you're doing what other people aren't willing to do. And in fact, Gabrielle Bernstein is a personal development coach and writer and spiritual teacher, and she talks about this all the time with her book, Judgment Detox. She's come out with many books, and a lot of them are, you know, light and easy to take in and digestible, and about, you know, the universe has your back, and, you know, powerful manifester, you know, become magnetic, and she's like, actually the most serious book that is the most valuable, that would change your life the most, is Judgment Detox. But it's unpleasant, and it's hard, and it instantly brings up rough stuff to deal with, and nobody wants to do it. Most people don't get through the book. Most people don't read it. And so everybody that asks a lot of you has to deal with that. That's why there's not tons of people in Kabbalah, because it's not fluff. It is, every bit of it is self-searching, doing the work, making the sacrifice, transforming yourself to become more like the divine potential that you have, to be more like Christ, to be more like the Creator, to be a vessel of sharing, not taking. And so not everybody is willing to do that. Some people just want, give me the fluffy message that gives me a little high for the week, and like lets me say I was there, and we'll go out to eat, and that's it, you know? But not you guys. Okay, so the perspective that is affecting us right now are signs and synchronicities. So signs, omens, synchronicities, oracles, angel messages, and spirit communication. So we might be confused we might be feeling like we're getting mixed signals from the universe, right? If I'm on the right path, then why is nothing happening? You know, where are the signs? Sometimes God has us in a moment where we're in a fog and we can't see anything, and we don't have the communication. We're being forced to walk through the dark, blindfolded, trusting even amidst the uncertainty that God will carry you through it, right? That you will not be forsaken. And sometimes not seeing a sign might mean that everything's fine, that you're on the right track, that, you know, when you're going the right way, Maps lady isn't like, all right, you're doing good. It's only when you've made a mistake that she's like, okay, recalculating. And then, you know, it's not that we don't see signs, right? I think when God wants to confirm something to us, and the angels, when they need to communicate to us, they do give us signs. Jesus performed signs and wonders to strengthen people's faith. But then he also, like, it got to the point where people were like, they would hear him talking and they'd be like, the rest of the crowd wasn't here, Jesus, 5 minutes ago. Do another miracle, do another sign. And he says, woe to the generation that needs a sign and needs a miracle to believe. And blessed art those that can believe without a sign, right? There were cities that he went into who fully believed in him without seeing any miracles and any healings. They just took to the truth of the message, and it was alive in them, and they believed it wholeheartedly. So, you know, don't let the signs and synchronicities or lack thereof confuse you in this moment, right? We are in the wilderness. That is the 40 days of Lent. This is the window of time and the influence that we are under right now, whether we're participating in it or not. So each of us is going through some wilderness moment in one way or the other. And it feels like we're isolated, and it feels like everything's desolate, and it feels like the only person talking to us right now is the voice of Satan wanting us to give up and throw in the towel and think that we're worthless and there's no point, right? But that's exactly what he wants. He wants you to give up. He doesn't want you to get your destiny, because that's going to defeat him. It's going to defeat his lies and his darkness. Right? And that's exactly what he was trying to do to Jesus. He's like, you know, Jesus, you don't have to be crucified. People exalt you as a king. You can just take over, right? Why don't you do that instead? You don't want to hang on the cross. You don't want to go through all that torture. Jesus knew that it wasn't his earthly authority and Davidic rule that would be a lasting change that would change humanity forever. It would be him martyring himself. Right? And the fact that underneath it all, the spiritual technology, the idea of a sacrifice is that you're not bringing your leftover that you don't want. You have to pick the pristine lamb, a spotless lamb, to bring forth, the one that would be valuable, right? Your prize possession to lay on the slab. And so the more perfect the sacrifice, it opens up that energy, because it's harder to let go of, right? Well, Jesus was perfect. He was the perfect human. He was the perfect person on earth. He represented what it would be like if God were a human being. And he was trying to set an example for others of what it was like if God were a human being. How would we act like that? So he knew that by making that sacrifice, it would be the ultimate sacrifice that would open up the salvation and redemption for all the souls of mankind. Not that we wouldn't have to keep coming and bringing a new lamb every year, trying to pay our spiritual debt with just like this physical offering. It was a spiritual offering, and he taught us how to bring our own lower self and our own selfishness to the cross, and let that die, and let that be taken away from us. Okay, so the outer influence affecting us now. Creation phase 1. So what's happening right now is this feeling of sort of disillusionment and a little bit of a feeling of depressedness. It's like we have this spark coming back, and we have an idea of what we want to make happen, but we're lacking the strong enough desire to really go full force towards it. Creation phase 1 is getting that initial idea, the initial spark, but it's in the state of passive desire, meaning, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Maybe there's something to it, you know. Okay, we'll think about it. We'll keep that. We'll put a pin in it. But you don't have enough of a desire to do anything it takes to push yourself day and night, put all your blood, sweat, and tears, and your heart, soul, mind, and strength into something to make something happen. That is creation phase 2, when you have an active desire. So let's read the front of this card. Desire, dream, illusion, fantasy, idea, passive desire, receiving without earning, not willing to do the work, unclear desire, unfulfilled, not yearning or craving, but not willing, or let's see, not yearning or craving. Okay, so not yearning or craving, comma, wanting but not willing to make the effort yet. Hoping the Creator brings it to me or does it for me. This is a big one. This is a big one where people mess up. They mistake patience for passivity. And so they want the Creator to do it for them. They want God to do the work. They want God to bring them to it. God does it for me. But what they don't understand is that they're not holding up their end of the deal. They need to take action. They need to put effort. They need to put their muscle into it. Hoping the Creator brings it to me or does it for me. A vague desire, self-doubt, justification, comfort, mediocrity. So we need to get out of our comfort zone. We need to get clear about what it is that we want. We need an active desire, and we need to be willing to work for it. And then we need to get started and hop onto it. Don't waste any more time. Okay, so what is going to represent our hopes and fears? This is the card of wishes, hopes, and fears. What do we have? Here's. This is from the ego. Oh my God, this was the card on the top of the deck when we were in between when I was explaining the last card. So look at your motives. What do you desire and why? Why do you hope that you are going to do or get what you want to do? Is it for you? Is it about you? Because, and then what are your fears? Are your fears oriented in what's going to happen to me? What do I get from this? What if it's a waste? What if I get backlash, right? What if I get canceled? Like, where are your motives? Are they selfish, self-centered, self-focused motives? Or are they thinking about other people? The motives that we think of, is it about other people or is it about us? Reference to the show The Chosen, about Jesus and his disciples and the people closest to him during his ministry. There's a scene, it's after Jesus resurrects Lazarus, and or it's maybe before Lazarus falls sick. They go visit Lazarus when they're on the way to another city. I think they're on the way to Jerusalem, and they stop off in Bethel. And so they're hanging out with Lazarus and partying at his house. And Mary, Jesus' mother, comes to meet them there. And Jesus is hitting a wall with his patience with people. He's feeling very frustrated. So he goes out to meet his mother, who's come to meet up. And he's like, I don't want to go into the party yet. Let's go out into the courtyard. She's like, come here, I want to wash your hair. And so while they're hanging out, he confesses to her that he's afraid that he's failing. He's afraid that he is letting God down. I mean, this is Jesus, right? Who's afraid that he was failing, that he was letting God down. You don't think about Jesus feeling that way. And we all feel that way many times, but why do you feel that way? Is it that you're afraid that you're not going to get what you want? Or are you afraid that you're failing your big mission, you're failing God? Are you failing other people? Because Jesus wasn't self-oriented, but he was afraid that people weren't going to get the most important message in the history of creation. What if he didn't deliver it well enough? What if he could have done it differently or better, and people would have understood better? But like, even his closest disciples, half of them weren't getting it. They weren't catching on. Mary Magdalene was the one who was listening, and she understood better than anyone. She was the apostle of apostles. So it was few people who really heard Jesus and understood, and it was always the women, right? The woman who came and washed his feet, she was anointing his feet because that's how they anointed the sacrificial lamb that would be the Passover sacrifice. They were getting ready for Passover when this happened. And so she was anointing Jesus' feet because she knew he was going to be the sacrificial lamb for the sake of all. And he was so moved because she understood that. And so few people could understand it, even though he kept saying, this is what's going to happen. And they're like, what do you mean, Jesus? When are we going to take over the government? What do you mean you're not going to be with us anymore? What do you mean preparing you for your death? It's like it just couldn't get through to them. So, you know, where are your fears coming from? Are you afraid that that you're not going to be the vessel of sharing that you could be? Or are you afraid you're not going to get what you want? Now, when we do our acts of goodness and creation, if we sit there waiting for a result or waiting for things to turn out how we want and how we think we should, that actually drains our energy and takes the power out of the things that we've done. Whereas if we don't expect results and we do our acts in good faith and leave it and say, you know what, I did this for God, and God will take it the rest of the way, and it's not for me, it's for God anyway, and so what happens, but I gave it my all and I did my best, right? I did my service and I gave and I was obedient, and that's all that really counts, you know. And we're not waiting on the results, and we're not in it for what's us, and we're not waiting to see if we, you know, if we benefited or profited from this action, you know. Then it can be successful. But waiting for that profit, waiting for that validation, waiting for the big payoff, the big satisfaction, the gratification, or things to go the way that you think that they should go, it drains the power, it drains your energy out of the situation. So think about that as you are doing any act. Where is your consciousness at this moment? Is it being ruled by your soul, the higher aspect of the soul, or is it being ruled by the ego and the instincts of the lower animal self? Okay, this is the final outcome. So it needs more planning. I noticed that before we started. No big deal. This seems much worse than it is. You've built this up in your mind. The worry around this has taken on a life of its own. Don't let it grow into self-fulfilling prophecy. Nip it in the bud. If you don't make it a big deal, then it won't be. Not as significant as you are making it out to be. You know, many times I have been so reluctant to say something to someone thinking that they would just be devastated and would turn into this big upset. And then when I finally did say it, and like I knew my heart was in the right place, it's like it had no effect over them. They were just like, it wasn't a big deal, right? And then you know what is going to reinforce this for you guys even more? Needless worry. Those came up together. So it needs more planning, details, research, strategy, building foundations, well thought out, slow but practical action steps, methodical, focus, clarity, sharp attention. So the things that we're doing, we need to do a little bit more research and planning. You know, we're worried about nothing. Our fears are becoming more magnified than they need to be, and we are going to be doing self-fulfilling prophecies. Now, the greater threat in the world right now is very real. We need to take that seriously, but how we navigate in this time, we need to remember that this can serve to actually reveal the real light of the Creator. Even though what we're seeing is enraging and infuriating and devastating, something good can come of this if that's how we stay determined to keep our consciousness, and that's what we are determined to reveal through this moment. We reveal more of our light, and we reveal more of our light, and then that spreads that light in the world. So needless worry, needs more planning, no big deal. So try not to be consumed with fear and worry and hypervigilance and nitpicking and neuroses. Just keep working at what you're doing. Keep planning, keep researching. If it's something that needs to be confronted or said, then don't imagine it going poorly. Imagine it going well, and it's not going to be the destructive moment that you fear it will be, but maybe it's just not the right time yet. So wait for the right time, because if you plant seeds during the wrong time of year, they're not going to bear fruit either, right? So the right time will come. Until then, it's like about the preparation of the self and of the consciousness. And then taking the actions that you can in the meantime, but don't let fear consume you. Okay, so let's get a few tarot cards to kind of tie all this together. So we have the Hanged Man in reverse. Our perspective has shifted and things are changing. So when the Hanged Man is in its upright position, there is a pause in activity to shift your perspective. But when it's in reverse, it can mean that our perception has changed and things are moving forward, or it can mean that we are refusing to see something clearly. I feel in this instance that it is things are moving forward and the energy has shifted. Let's consult Eileen Conley's Tarot of the Apprentice. because something told me have this there because you're going to get a card in reverse that you should look up. Okay. Okay, so Hanged Man in reverse. Content with the present environment and circumstances, apt to be preoccupied with material matters. So maybe in some ways, like you're content, maybe almost too content, but and then we've become complacent as a society, right? We've let all this, get out of hand without addressing it. So in some ways, our contentment has worked against us, but in a positive, like individual way, when we can be at peace inside, that can help us actually find momentum. So it depends on what kind of peace. Are you trying to keep the status quo and maintain mediocrity, or do you have a deep inner sense of peace and you're still moving forward, right? So content with present environment and circumstances, but apt to be preoccupied with material concerns. I know we're all apt to be preoccupied with material concerns right now because they say we're about to go into recession, which it felt to me my entire life like we have never not been in a recession. But apparently, it might be, people are worried about money right now. Everything's gotten so much more expensive, and the prices probably aren't going to go down. We've got tariffs and all of that. So we're very occupied with money concerns. And just generally speaking, the physical world, the outer things that we can see, feel, and touch, it's like we're pretty distracted about all of that right now. But what we need to do is turn that inward and look at the spiritual matter underneath, the spiritual issues underneath the material symptoms of the spiritual issues. So absorbed in earthly work and gain, oblivious to your spiritual pain. Watch out for a do-gooder or someone with many promises. Consider carefully before becoming involved. Oop, what does that sound like to y'all? Watch out for a do-gooder, the Christian fundamentalism, the Christian nationalists. They're painting it up like they're good, right? Like this is good. We're trying to protect Christianity. We're trying to do this. We had a table last night on the patio, and this girl was waiting on them, and I could overhear them too. And they were, church-going people, and they were, dropping a lot of talk about Bible, and I'm against divorce, but she was also for running away and murdering her husband and taking all the possessions. And these people were so effed up, and they were so dark and twisted and entitled and just and I was like, I don't want to make any assumptions, but I have a feeling they're MAGAs. And as it turns out, when I was inside, and I wasn't outside anymore because all the other tables had disappeared, this girl that was waiting on them, she was a lot younger than me. She was like a nice, sweet Christian girl. But of course, they're going to confront her when I'm not around because I'm older and I have independent thought and I am a bitch. So they're not going to confront her when I'm out there. But when she was at their table, they start going on about homophobia and all this stuff. And they're like, "You're not gay, are you?" And then she's just like, "Oh my God, like, how are you going to harass your server and try to pry into their personal business?" And then she's like, "Well, I hope not." And then she said, "Read your Bible, pray, meditate." And it's like, oh my God. And you wonder why, like, so many people have gone away from the church and are absolutely just repulsed by these people. In Revelations, it talks about how people will be confused and the false prophecies will make them think that what's good is bad and what's bad is good, right? And so all these people who think Donald Trump is their chosen savior he's telling you the truth about things, fake news. It's like he's just manipulating you with propaganda. He knows exactly what to tell you and what lines to feed you to make you think he's the trustworthy one, but yet they just erected a golden statue of him in Gaza. I mean, not the Gaza people, obviously not the Palestinian people, but he did this for himself. And it's like, hello, is there any more obvious signs that this person is satanic, that he is an antichrist, at least an archetype of the antichrist, if not the actual antichrist? We thought the antichrist was going to be this slick Rick with like sophistication, but he's this fucking idiot. Oh my God, he's such a fucking idiot. Ugh, it's so, my asshole is puckering up and cramping at this moment thinking about it. But it's like giving someone a test, open book, and people are still not getting it. Erecting a golden statue. Hello, the golden bull, Nebuchadnezzar, any of this ringing any bells for anyone? It's insane. So watch out for the do-gooder or someone with many promises. Consider carefully before becoming involved. Time to get out from under. You're surrounded by false securities. You need to recognize your own ability and build plans and build with your own plans. So again, I've been talking about this. People are trying to brainwash us and steer our every choice with AI. Like, why do we trust AI? Even this Christian content creator that I follow, she's like, I really love this AI app. It's a Christian app, and you talk to a bot, and it gives you biblical wisdom, and it tells you what verse to read, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, don't you understand that you are lazy, and that what really gives you that moment of that feeling, that presence of God, is when you don't know what you're supposed to look up and you have this random prompting, and then it's like it feels like you were steered to somewhere where you didn't know where to go in the Bible, and you find this verse that speaks to you and you're like, oh my God, you led me there. I heard your voice. I followed your voice. No, they want you to follow the AI bot voice and let the robot tell you where to go and what to do and what to believe. This is even a chat bot that's discussing your spiritual concerns and issues with, right? And of course it's going to look like it's a do-gooder, right? It'll give you some reasonable information. After all, it's giving you Bible verses, but those aren't the Bible verses that God told you to go read. Did you think about that? All the context involved in every Bible passage you read. And by the way, if you don't understand anything about the Hebrew culture or the Hebrew language, and if you don't have the right translation of the Bible, then you're not even understanding the context or the concepts that are being read. Because if you read it like literally, it's very confusing and it can be very misunderstood. Okay, outward appearances don't necessarily present the true picture. Hold something in reserve, right? So, meaning don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. Don't reveal all your cards. Hold something back. Even when it comes to where you're putting your money, maybe high yield savings is the most smartest thing to do with your money right now. I mean, even in that case, it's invested and it's insured, but like, what if they're trying to crash the market, right? So it's like, I've started investing in dividend paying stocks, but I'm really reluctant to keep doing that until I see the direction of where things are going, because what are you going to do if like you invest in these stocks and then all of a sudden they're completely crashed, right? You've lost your money. So again, be really wise with your money. I know people have issues about the Tea Party, but Ron Paul, I feel like, has always been fairly honest about protecting people's civil liberties and wanting to protect the economy. And he has always suggested investing in gold. The Birch Gold IRA is one that he brings up a lot, which I've been meaning to look into. But gold does not lose its value, right? It doesn't matter about inflation, but the dollar does lose its value. So maybe consider, and maybe I'll consider this too, but maybe putting your investments in gold rather than in the market. All right, let's get another card. Oh, I just found this card on the floor. Peace and release. Surrender, let go, radical acceptance, untangle, allow, let go of control, certainty in the light, embrace the unknown, move forward. Move forward from here. Don't get stuck in the past. So that's a good card to go alongside of the Hanged Man for sure. Or in this deck, it's the Hanged One because it's non-gender specific. I always say we should just start changing all of these misogynistic men's pronouns to they. No, and see if they notice. Somebody actually did that in an interview. They said they went to a town hall and they confronted their, I think it was like their board of, maybe it was like the school board or something. And they kept calling this man ma'am and kept addressing him as a her. And he's like, I would prefer to be called he. And she's like, well, under the new law, I can't be compelled to respect your preferred pronouns. So, and she just kept calling him she. It's hilarious. I loved it. Okay, so the Fool. We have more Major Arcana coming out. A new path. a new path, a new beginning. And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. That Bible verse is associated with this card. In fact, if you want to understand the Christ consciousness that is built into the system of the tarot and the path and the discipline and discipleship of Christ consciousness that is within the tarot, I would suggest getting the tarot, the handbook for the apprentice by Eileen Conley. This is a Christian mystic interpretation of the tarot rather than maybe say a hermetic interpretation of the tarot. It also comes with prayers and meditations and many times Bible verses associated with the cards and the guide to like the Kabbalistic layers of the cards. So the Fool, yes, the Fool is unencumbered and trusts as though a baby trusts. So we have to trust right now, like never before, right? A baby is completely exposed, powerless, and at the mercy of God and the angels and for others to protect them. And so we have to put our trust and faith in God and in Jesus and in Christ in this moment, that this moment, even though we are on the edge and it feels very precarious and very dangerous and very deadly right now, that the light of God is shining upon us and is behind us. This reminds me of when the people in Jesus's hometown, when he started to hint around that he was the Messiah, and he said, I am the law of Moses. And they said, blasphemy. And they took him to the cliffside and they were going to throw him off the cliff according to the law of Moses. And he said, that ain't happening today. And he just passed right through the crowd. Right? So you might be brought to the very edge of oblivion. You might be facing that scariest moment, but you can just walk on through because God's got your back. It's like this woman in the Holocaust who was forced in line, and it was like they were lined up to be shot into a pit. And she asked the soldier, she said, what do I do if I get out of line? And he said, I don't know. And she left the line and survived. Wow. Because you know what? Not all of them had the heart to actually go through with it, right? A lot of them were just go-alongs, just like these. They're go-alongs. So we got to get to those go-alongs and wake them up. Okay. 8 of Swords. Feeling trapped, feeling surrounded by threats, feeling like you're giving in to the illusions and the lies that fear is keeping us stuck. But when you look deeper at the 8 of Swords, it's all an illusion. Because this woman, you know, she's got good footwear for the puddle she's standing in. The tide's not coming in yet. She's only surrounded by these swords, but she's not even encircled. She just walk right away. You know, and she could probably take off her bindings and her blindfold, but even if she couldn't, she can just walk right out of the situation. She's not stuck. She's just frozen in fear and overwhelm. So right now, we feel overwhelmed and fear, and we feel stuck and we feel powerless, but we are not. And in fact, the economic strikes and the economic boycotts are making a big difference in the bottom line. It's like billions of dollars these companies have already started losing. And then Costco, which refused to roll back its diversity, inclusivity, and equity program, it's actually increased their employees' pay to $30 an hour, which is, I think, very fair and very good. And they are sticking to their guns, and they've actually grown as a company like enormously. So keep up the economic boycotts. One thing that has been pointed out that I agree with is that whilst the marches and demonstrations are compelling and they get people they get the attention of the people, they don't necessarily change policy. They like the government, people in charge, they don't care. They don't have a heart. They're not feeling any different. So what happens when you get in these crowds is that it becomes very dangerous and violent things can happen. And then it kind of opens the door for martial law and police brutality and things to get out of hand. Even the demonstrators sometimes get overexcited and they start doing destructive, violent things, which we should not be doing. That's not helpful. It only works against us. It only reinforces their message to the other people that we're radical lunatics, right? So we need to keep it calm. We need to stay reasonable and peaceful, and we need to actually do the actions that make a difference, which is calling our senators and congressmen, donating to the campaigns of Democrats. I don't usually endorse just blindly supporting one party over another, but that's kind of where we're at the moment. It's like we don't really have another choice. If we want to get out of the situation, we need to kind of tip the balance in Senate. And so if you want to go donate to one of the senators that's running for the Democratic seat, two seats are open in the Florida Senate right now that can tip the balance in Senate. So if you want to support those people, just look up that situation. I can't remember. One of them's name is a woman named Gay something. She's gay. But yeah, how ironic, right? That people are so against gay people. It's like, this gay might save us. And then there's a man running as well. So look them up and find ways that you can maybe donate to their campaign. Because if they win those seats, that might save the country. Might slow down Project 2025. Could save lives. Okay, so, and then what is next? Here we go, one more card. Oh, I'm feeling this one. Ooh, 3 of Pentacles. So we got to work together. We've got to be cooperating, right? We've got to find ways to use our gifts and talents in ways that share with others and share with the world and inspire cooperation and collaboration. Right? We learn all through the Bible that where there is division and separation and hatred, we cut ourselves off from our blessings, and our aims and our goals are not really supported, and there's not a lot of power in them. Whereas when we are united and we have unity and we have love and brotherhood, we have power, we have influence, we have God's favor on our side. Now, prayer is a technology, whether it is coming from the right place or the wrong place. And what scares me about the Republican Party is that they have, and this is always the truth about radical, extreme religious people, they at least are unified, and they gather in prayer. And so their fervor is unshakable. So the Democrats, or the other side, or people that don't even consider themselves Democrats, but definitely aren't for this agenda right now, we need unity, right? And we can disagree and still be in unity where we still honor and respect each other as brothers and sisters, and we have love at the core of it for one another. But when we're divided and we're separate, we lose our power, we lose our strength. So we need to start praying as a collective, in agreement, and decreeing, and using that unity to empower ourselves. Okay, so let's grab, let's grab our Angel Wisdom Tarot card. Let's get this one more tarot card from the Angel Wisdom Tarot deck. What do we have? Ooh, King of Pentacles. Let's see, loyal, dedicated, protective, apprehensive. Oh no, sorry, we're at Knight of Pentacles, not King of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles. So loyal, dedicated, protective. Also can be apprehensive. Plan carefully before taking action, but then get going. Does that not sum up the whole reading? Plan carefully before taking action, but then get going. Wait for perfect timing. Oh my God, this is like literally the talking points of this whole discussion. A guardian angel or someone who watches over you. I love that. Amazing. I love it when something is so on the nose. It just gives us that much more confirmation, right? All right, let's grab a Moonology card. Let's see, what do we have here? You're very close to achieving your goal, Gibbous Moon. Oh my God, every time, look at that card. It almost seems to just light up and illuminate. Every time I want to give up lately, I'm so fucking tired. I feel so fucking futile. Like I'm not making a difference. Every time I get up, something tells me, don't you give up. No matter what you do, you are so close. You are so close to the finish line. And it's often when we are the closest that it feels like everything comes to a halting standstill. All right, let's grab 4 cards about our upcoming manifestations. What do we need to do over this waning period, over the next 2 weeks? What do we need to let go of? How do we need to handle our energy? So positive energy, surround yourself with positive people and positive situations, avoid negativity. So yes, we need to really train our consciousness on positivity, on certainty, on belief, stronger than belief, certainty that the Creator has a plan and that we're going to align with it. Treasure chest. All right. An unforeseen windfall of new abundance comes to you now. Do not squander this. Do not spend it on like consumerism and commercialism. Save this money. Do something with it that can earn interest, because things might get tight and we might need, you might need that cushion. And then just be wise with your money. So many of us could be actually sticking money away and building principles that earn us dividends that eventually create financial independence. You know, financial independence doesn't mean you have to be a millionaire. Financial independence can be generating enough interest each month to pay your bills. You know, and it does take a big principle to eventually generate that, but the interest starts compounding, and it's not just your money that you're putting in that's growing that principle. It becomes the interest that's also growing that principle. And people underestimate what they're willing to do. And I've heard of like government workers and people making like basically a middle income salary, just being really intentional with their money and becoming financially independent, being able to retire. So be wise with your money. Don't be a consumer. All right. Okay, what do we have here? We've got accept heaven's help. You've been praying for help, so get out of the way and let heaven help you. So sometimes we get so obsessed with how we think things should be going that we miss the direction that heaven is giving us. And sometimes our detours are sending us in the right direction. Explore your options. It's time to look at other possibilities. This is a good time to make change. So that is definitely the theme of every eclipse season, and make a decision. Are you feeling stuck or indecisive? Listen to your intuition and make a decision. So being decisive, getting out of the stagnancy, moving forward, making a decision. Maybe there's something that needs to change in the way that you're approaching things. I mean, that is probably true for everyone. I know that today I just saw a video that was talking about how hashtags don't even help Instagram posts anymore. It's all about indicating to AI through the visuals and the things that you're saying. So it's like, if you're doing a video about if you're talking to somebody about a subject, but you're sitting there like strumming a guitar while you're doing it, and then the AI gets confused and they think that this is a video about guitar. So have related objects that give clues to AI, but still also be natural and throw in keywords. And I'm just like, oh my God, we are literally being forced to give up our creative voices and give up our creative vision to act like a robot to appease a robot. It is infuriating, but according to the theory from Who Moved My Cheese, we can't bemoan the changes. We have to learn to evolve, with them. And so finding a way to do that, I mean, I'm still trying to do that myself. I'm struggling with it because I think that, for the longest time, I've been like, I don't think the algorithm knows what to do with me. It doesn't know who to show my videos to. It's not quite sure. Like, especially my photographic posts, because I have these symbolic symbols and objects in the picture. And so if the algorithm is like, I don't know what the subject of this picture is, right? And it's like back in the day, you could just get like the timeline was just like according to like when things were posted and who you follow. So you could see artists and their work and jewelers, and people had this beautiful branding. And now it's like I never see any of that stuff. It's just like I hate that. I just, this world that we're living in, it's just like, what good is left? Okay, let your friends help. We're pulling our romance cards for the next 2 weeks for the waxing phase. We're letting go. We're sort of dissipating all the energy we've been putting in. So let your friends help. Ask for and accept support from others. So maybe you have some friends that want to set you up, or maybe you have some friends that have, encouragement or helpful insight, or maybe just spending time with your friends is going to lift your spirits and get you in a better, more attractive mood. This could be the one and honeymoon. Ooh. So you've already met the partner that you seek and enjoy the bliss of holiday time together. So there could be a moment of like meeting somebody and having that flush of the excitement. Maybe it involves travel. That could be, sometimes these things are super literal and sometimes they're not. Sometimes it's like, oh, the honeymoon phase of really just seeing the good in someone. And I think that can last if you choose to focus on the good in someone instead of what gets on your nerves when they become, commonplace to you. But yeah, maybe your friends are gonna help you, or maybe you're being friends with someone and they could end up being the one. I don't know. It's anybody's game. Maybe you guys have insights into that yourself. And so attraction, you attract romantic love by enjoying this moment. So again, feeling that romantic, fun, alive feeling again. It's like getting around your friends, people who love you for you and really see you and value you, that you can have fun with. This is going to get your energy going and your spark shining and sparkling again, and it's going to get you in that kind of energy that's really attractive to others and can really call in that soulmate. Maybe you already know this person. Maybe they're in your periphery, but you just haven't realized that they're even possible. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so let's grab a card from the Mary Mother of Angels deck. Mary's and Jesus's moms, where I like to call our motherly advice for this waning cycle. Open your heart. I allow myself to feel the full range of emotions, especially all the forms of love. This is about as Pisces as it gets right now. We're doing that emotional purge and that emotional cleansing that is ridding us of all that old heaviness that held us back. So being able to feel our emotions, process our emotions, understanding our emotions, communicating those emotions, but we can't really heal it until we feel it. It's like digestion. We need to feel the feelings so that they can be worked through us, and we can't hold on to them forever. Okay, so our loving words from Jesus: peace be unto you as my Father hath sent me. So this is him saying, be at peace. The Messiah has come. I've come to redeem you. I've come to save you. I'm here now, right? Be at peace. My Father has sent me. So when we're in this moment of bleakness where all we can see everywhere we look is the Antichrist, this is bringing the real Jesus back into the forefront of the conversation. And we are no longer going to tolerate the lies of the agenda of that false representation of the church and of Christ that has disillusioned and alienated and been so destructive for so many. But they're coming back, those people who were lost sheep, who had been scared away by the lying wolves in sheep's clothing. Jesus is gone to get them and he gave them their personal attention of going after them and gathering them one by one. Right? Left the flock. Flock's fine. The flock's already all together over there. They're already at church. But Jesus wants to go after the sheep that wandered off to the edge. So be at peace. Peace be unto you as my Father hath sent me. So good things are coming. Things are going to happen soon. But right now we're in the temptation of the wilderness, and fear and futility and lack are tempting us to want to throw in the towel. And we're not going to do it. We're going to keep going, because it's not about the result. It's about the fact that we're showing up. And if God is the only one that sees us show up, then that's the only thing that counts. All right, y'all. Love you. Peace be with you and unto you. Ciao.